Hello, everyone. This is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast. Become a Sales Titan. We are in Season 5, Episode 7, continuing the traits of a car sales titan. These are people that are selling 15, 20, 30 cars a month. What do they do above the average car salesman to sell so many vehicles? A lot of times we meet these people, they work at a dealership, and sometimes we can't pinpoint what do they do every day to sell so many cars? Or maybe you don't have someone at your dealership that can sell that many cars, so you have no idea. They are out there. Trust me, they are selling 20 plus cars every single month. They are making $15, $20, $25,000 every single month. I know because I know these people. All right, so we need to talk about how do we get you to this level? How do we get you making ridiculous amounts of money that people that in your circle won't even believe that you make? You'll get to a point like I did where I stopped telling people what I made in the car business because they never believed you. And you're going to get to a point where you're going to tell someone and you'll know you're at the point when you tell them and they don't believe you. Nah, you don't make that much. That's when you know you're making a ridiculous amount of money. We're continuing the traits of a car sales titan. I know you want to get there, and I promise you, you will get there. Do not throw in the towel. Do not be okay with average. Average is not interesting to you, to me, to your dealership, to anybody, to your spouse, to your kids. They want to see a hero come back from the dealership every day that can tell them, I made $5,000 in this last week. What? You make that much money, Dad? Yeah. You make that much money, Mom? Yeah, I'm in the car business. This is what we want to get to. And this is what I'm trying to help you with this podcast. So I appreciate you guys listening in. This episode, we're going to be talking about being active. The person that is selling 15, 20, 30 cars a month never stops. They're always doing something. The moment they clock in, they can't stop because they've built a momentum over the last few weeks that can't stop. They got people texting them. They got people asking about a car that they're waiting to get traded in. They got people asking about a vehicle that's not pictured yet on the website. They've got so much activity that they've built up over the last couple of weeks that they can't stop working. They get to the dealership and they hit the ground running because they're behind on text messages. They're behind on phone calls. They're behind on emails because they never stop working. Once you can get this momentum on your side, it can last not only days, weeks, but it can last months and years. There is a certain point of your career where you'll never have downtime because you've built such a momentum that you don't have time to have downtime. This is what you want to strive for when we're talking about being active. Now, how do you start being active? You can't sit around and do average things. You can't sit around and hope something happens during the day. You have to go make it happen. And that's what this episode is about. And I want to talk to you guys about a few different categories that I feel are very important that salespeople nowadays are missing out on. And I want to make sure I emphasize some of these VIP things. And I'll make it clear in this episode, this is a VIP subject. So let's get started. There's a salesman I wanted to give a shout out to on the East Coast named TJ Jenkins. He sells 29 cars a month on average. He's the number one salesperson at his auto group, and there's over 100 salespeople. He is the number one guy. He makes a tremendous amount of money and has a tremendous amount of success, and he has a 100, 100, 100 rule. 100 phone calls, 100 emails, 100 text messages every single day. This goes into line with my Poor2Pro daily workbook. How much activity can you cram into one day? Well, guess what? When there's a lot of activity that you put in, then you're going to get a lot of activity out of it. And the out of it is sales and money. Activity in is what you're doing to create car deals. Are you making car deals? Are you furthering car deals? Are you doing everything in your power that day to sell something? So I went over this 30-30-30 rule at my car dealership because it's an attainable number that a salesperson can achieve every single day. 30 phone calls, 30 text messages, 30 emails. That's 90 tasks per day. If you work an 8-hour shift, it's just over 11 tasks an hour. Anyone can do 11 tasks an hour. If you break it up, it's 3 phone calls, 3 emails, and 5 text messages. That's 11 tasks per hour to do this 30-30-30 rule. This is what we're talking about in this episode, breaking down your day into segments, into hours, into tasks to make sure you're not wasting your day and being active, okay? So let's talk about a few things and a few key points. First is text messages. Customers seem to be reachable via text. Anyone can text a customer, and it's pretty easy. There's no skin off your back. There's no real sales pitch requirements. You can send them what you need to send them, what information. You can reach out and say, hey, just touching bases with you. I see you put an internet inquiry in, and I want to make sure you're being helped, etc., etc. And you send a text. Are you sending 30 text messages a day? This is something that we have to work on, is are we being active during the day with text messages? Because a lot of people can be reached by text. And what I mean by that is they may not see their phone when you initially call them. But if you send a text, it's sitting there waiting until they pick up their phone. Not everyone is like us in the car business that has their phone in their pocket all day long. And the moment we get a message, it's so important because this is how we make our living. We look at it. A lot of people don't make their livings off of if they see their phone right away. So they set it down. They leave it on a charger at their office. They work from home and they don't need to see their phone because everything they do is on their laptop or desktop computer. There's a lot of people out there that aren't tied to their cell phone, so when you send them a text message, they can view that text message at their earliest convenience and then get back to you. So text messaging is very convenient and very easy. But are you sending a lot of text messages per day? Are you putting your feelers out there? If you go fishing and you have one line and you throw your line in the lake, you're going to have the ability to catch one fish. Let's hope they're in the lake there. Let's hope they're in that area. Imagine if you had 30 lines in the lake, 30 lines off the side of your dock, 30 lines off the side of the boat. If you have 30 lines out there, do you think you're going to get a bite? Do you think you're going to catch a fish that day? Absolutely. What if you had 90 of those off the side of the boat? That's the 90 tasks I'm talking about during the day. 30, 30, 30. 30 calls, 30 text messages, 30 emails. And of course, you're going to have interactions at the dealership with people from service and fresh ups. Okay, so let's not forget about that. So you have to pick and choose when you're going to be doing this 30, 30, 30. So text messages, I want to emphasize, you're on an equal playing ground. The reason why is because a customer is just as good at you as at texting. You have no advantage via text. So when you text a customer, you're on their playground. You're on their skill level because everyone's good at texting back and forth. It's very easy for a customer to say no over text, not interested over text. So we can't leave it all up to just texting. Let's move on to emailing. Are you sending a lot of emails during the day? Again, let's go back to the fishing lines. Are you sending enough emails to catch that fish, to make that sale? We have to stay active via emails. People going through their daily task, they may see an email, and people like typing. So this person that may have viewed your text may not be good at texting back, but they can email really well. So are you sending out enough emails? And make sure when you send emails, and I've done some studies recently, the average American attention span right now is 8 to 10 seconds. 8 to 10 seconds, which translates to roughly 150 to 200 characters in an email. So if you have an email that's some long drawn out email, you've lost them in the first 100 to 200 characters, not even words. I'm talking characters like letters and dots and exclamation points. So you have to be very careful with your emails that they're not drawn out. Get to the point, have good spaces, and make sure you have a compelling and interesting email. And then on the subject line, you have to have something that the customer will want to actually open. A subject line that I've been testing with is "Don't stop believing." ... I did some emails today with that, and I almost had 100% open rate. Don't stop believing ... I can put whatever I want in the subject line. I just need them to open the email and see my compelling message. So when it comes to emails, make sure you're sending 30 plus emails a day. You got to stay active in sending emails and not have a boring email with too much dialogue. Clean spaces, and 150 to 200 characters. 8 to 10. Remember, 8 to 10 seconds is all you're going to get in an email nowadays. People aren't like what they used to be. Okay, they get too much spam nowadays in their email. They don't want to read a bunch of stuff. But if you can capture them with a good subject line and have a good 8 to 10 second email, you might get a response. You might have an opportunity to sell them. Now, what I want to emphasize on emails is everyone is pretty good at emailing. You don't have an advantage in the emailing department. Okay, so it's like a 1-to-1 ratio. You're good at emailing, they're good at responding in email. So you can't be extremely convincing over email. You just hope you have a good enough email to where they respond. Okay, so remember 30 emails. All right. What about social media posting? Are you posting on social media every day? Do your friends on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, does everyone know where you work? And are you posting daily? You don't have to spam your Facebook feed with a ton of stuff, but how about one a day saying where you work? If you have 365 posts a year, chances are pretty good that when that buddy of yours or that person that's on your Facebook car breaks down and they open Facebook while they're waiting for a tow truck, they see your ad. They see your relevant ad to them. It wasn't relevant 3 months ago when you posted, but it's relevant today when their car busted down or they got totaled out from gap insurance in their insurance. And now they need a vehicle and they happen to open Facebook while they're at home with a headache from the car crash and they see your ad. So make sure you're posting every single day. If you're a car salesperson and you're not posting every single day about where you work, what you do, what products you offer, you're missing out on customers. Everyone is living on social media nowadays. So make sure you're posting multiple avenues and posting every single day. It's a 1-to-1 ratio on posting also. You're great at posting and customers are great at posting also. So you have to be very compelling on your posting. What I mean by 1-to-1 ratio is you don't have an advantage on the post. There's nothing you're going to be able to put out on a post that they haven't either seen before or they haven't created before. Customers are just as good at Facebook and TikTok and Instagram as us. They may even be better. So you don't have a real advantage on that. But there's something I'm about to bring up that you do have an advantage on. And of course, I'm saving it for last of this episode. What about meeting people? What about face-to-face interactions at a church, the gym? I've talked about this many times in my previous episodes. Are you being active outside of your dealership? Some of the best salespeople I've met in my career have zillions of friends in real life. They're active outside of work. They're trying to meet new people with the intention of, I want to build a business. Trust me, if this was your dealership and your name was on that dealership, think about this. If your name was on that dealership, how often would you be out mixing it up with real people in real life, trying to get people to know about your new dealership you opened, trying to get people to come to your dealership? This is your business within a dealership. So try to act like that and make friends outside of work. Always wear your dealership swag, your company swag, your brand swag out, and you're going to draw attention. People will ask about what you sell and what you do for a living. I promise you, this is a key area where salespeople miss out because they leave the dealership. They don't want to think about the dealership. They don't want to think about car sales. They don't want to talk to people, but they're also not selling 20 or 30 cars a month. You have to be a social butterfly and be active outside of the dealership. After you clock out, are you still active in the car dealership or in the car business? The fact that you're listening to this probably before or after hours tells me that you do have that mindset. I'm after hours right now after a 12-hour shift at the dealership, and now I'm doing a podcast about the car business. These are the things you have to do outside of the dealership walls, outside of your clocking out. Now let's talk about where we have the advantage when it comes to being active. You ready? Phone calls. Whatever happened to salespeople calling customers multiple times until they get a voice on the other end? Whatever happened to salespeople calling first, getting someone on the line, and be able to be convincing? This is where we have the advantage. This is a 10-to-1 ratio here. You're 10 times better at talking than the customer on the other line. You are 10 times better. Text messaging, you're on an equal playing field. Emails, equal. Postings, equal. Meeting people out in public, you might have an advantage there. But on the phone is where we have the advantage. How many people do you know that are not in the sales business that talk on the phone regularly? Rarely do they talk on the phone regularly. They text their friends, they message their friends, they Snapchat their friends, but they don't have conversations like we are right now, listening and talking with people. So our advantage is on the phone call. And if you can get someone on the line and physically talk to them, this is where you have an advantage to convince them to come into your dealership. This is where you have the advantage to convince them to buy a car, to get an appraisal, to do a credit app, to meet and greet them in person, by setting an appointment. You have to use your advantages to your advantage, and that is talking, speaking, and calling people. The salespeople that are really good at phone calls are truly the masters at sales. And the customer has no chance over the phone to deal with someone that can overcome objections to why they don't want to come in, someone that can overcome objections to why they don't want to run credit, to why they don't want to do a trade appraisal. Well, it's not worth that much, right? I think I'm upside down. We're masters at getting around this stuff, and we're masters at getting the customer to go to the next step. But you have to talk with them to be able to control that scenario and be loving over the phone and fun over the phone and energetic, and really make the customer feel comfortable enough to move forward with you, because the other dealerships are texting and emailing only, and that's an equal ratio there, 1-to-1. They're scared to call. They're scared to get on the phone and be energetic like you hear in my voice right now. So when I talk about being active, yes, we have to do all those things, but don't forget to call your customer. Don't be so quick to leave a voicemail and never try again. Keep calling. One of the tricks I used in car sales was I'd call the internet lead after I got it, and it would go to voicemail, because I know they don't want to talk with anybody because they're rusty at it. They're not good at talking. So I would hang up and I would call again, and they wouldn't answer. I'd hang up and I would call again, and I would call it until they answered. And when they answered irritated, I would say, man, I hope my phone hasn't been calling you. I've been having problems with my phone. Was it ringing? And they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you called me a few times. They let you off the hook because now you're having a problem with your phone. And they're okay with that. You're not a salesman trying to bug them. Okay, and then you start a conversation about your phone and cell service and Verizon and whatever. AT&T's having problems, and I can't tell if I'm making a call. But now you got that person on the line, and that is where you have the advantage in the talking business, in the voice business, not in the text, not in the emails. Yes, we have to do those things because they will get car sales. Sending text messages can certainly get a car deal. Sending emails can certainly get a car deal. Posting on social media can certainly get a car deal. But phone calls is where the magic happens. Phone calls is where they can hear the passion in your voice, and you can say stuff like, yeah, I love my dealership I work at. I love being able to help my customers like you. They give me all the tools, so when you come in here, you can deal with me. All these little things that you can say to convince a customer to come in. So don't forget to make your calls. And don't give up on the first try if it goes to voicemail. Do my trick. Don't leave a voicemail and keep calling until they answer, and then blame it on AT&T, blame it on Verizon, blame it on whatever cell phone service you have, and they'll let you off the hook. And you're going to say, I don't even know if it was calling you. I was pushing the button and it kept making this weird noise. I'm sorry if I called you a couple times. Oh, yeah, no problem. What's up? Well, this is Kyle over at the ABC Motors, and I saw you put in an inquiry. I just want to say thank you for considering us. What made you try our dealership? What made you click on a lead on this vehicle, right? And you start the conversation. We are 10 times better than the customer at phone calls. So you have to make the calls. I know I'm harping on the phone calls a lot, but that is part of being active, is making those phone calls. Don't be too quick to just send the text, email, post, and then don't call them over and over. So let's recap this episode. We have to be active. Use the 30-30-30 rule. Remember, 90 activities in an 8-hour shift is only 11 tasks, 11.25 tasks per hour. You can do that, and you're very capable of it. So we have to text, we have to email, we have to post on social media. We have to meet customers outside of the dealership, and we have to VIP make the phone calls and get a voice on the other line, because this is where we have the 10-to-1 advantage. Okay? High activity will create a dangerously high income. High activity will create a dangerously high income. Low activity or no activity will create a dangerously low income. So low that you might lose your job. So low that you might lose your car because it's getting repoed. If you have to be at the dealership for 8 hours tomorrow, why in the world would you want to do the least amount possible? Are you too tired? Are you not motivated? You have to find out what's wrong internally so you can start being that sales titan that I know you can be, and you know you can be, because we all have the talent in us. It's finding which makes what talents make us unique, and finding what little things motivate us throughout the day. Start having fun at the dealership. Go in tomorrow with a smile. Go in tomorrow highly motivated to become successful. And think about this episode, the 30-30-30 rule, making those phone calls and doing the things necessary to have a successful day. I really appreciate your guys' support of the podcast. Thank you guys for all that you do and the messages that you send me. Please find me on social media and connect with me. Kyle Galaz on Facebook, Poor2Pro _ Car Sales Training on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Just find me. Let's connect. I love hearing from you guys. I love the feedback you leave me. If you're on Spotify, I please ask you, if you feel like I'm worthy enough, leave a 5-star review on the podcast and share it with somebody. The only way this podcast grows and my Poor2Pro grows is if you guys share it with somebody you love in the car business that you want to help elevate. You want to see them succeed. We got to pay it forward in the car business. You guys are the future generations and leaders of the car business. I thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Thank you so much. Kyle Galaz signing out.